Welcome to Tennishackery podcast. This is the place where we discuss all things about tennis related to technology, fitness, and the brain game. My name is Tarun, and today we have Soham, and just myself. Alex is out today. So we are a group of passionate San Francisco Bay Area based tennis geeks slash coaches. Please follow us on our socials at Tennishackery on Instagram, X, which used to be Twitter, Meta, YouTube, and Spotify. Our website is still, you go to tennishackery.com, you'll see a biggie. So we have plans to launch it in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. And of course, we will get on the other podcasting platforms like the Google and Apple podcasting platform pretty soon. So please like, share, subscribe, comment on Spotify, leave us reviews and stuff. So we really need to grow to at least 500 subscribers in the next couple of months. That really give us a boost, and that there's an added incentive that if we hit 500, we're going to get on TikTok and do a TikTok dance. All right, without further ado, Soham, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I've had a fun Saturday evening. I had an exhausting Friday night, so that's one of the reasons I guess we couldn't record. So blame it on me.
Yeah.
I played yesterday. I played like 6 hours of tennis, and I
Wow.
coached for like 3.5, 4 hours. So I was kind of exhausted. Today I'm a lot more energetic,
Yep.
and I'm ready, and raring to go
Yeah.
to talk about some fun stuff in
Yep.
this episode.
Yeah.
We had again very good feedback from our previous episode 5, which was basically we talked about technology in tennis, and I learned a lot that day. I have been learning a lot actually the last month or so from all our episodes, from our,
Absolutely. It's
from Tarun as well as
no, no,
Alex.
no, no. I learned a lot over the years, man. So it's just, yeah,
Yes. Every day is a learning process,
every
and
day is learning. Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
with Tennis Hackery, I think we're all learning,
Yeah.
and hopefully we are sharing some good knowledge, and you know, motivating our listeners to play more, to improve parts of their game, and a bunch of other things. And hopefully with Tennis Hackery, as we grow bigger and can reach to more of our listeners and viewers, we'll, as I always say, put out exciting content. So, coming to our today's episode, it's going to be kind of a fun back and forth conversation between Tarun and myself. We're going to be talking about, watching the pros, um, talk about some of our favorite players that we love to watch on tour, whether it's a pro circuit, challenger, futures. Um, mention some of our favorite matches that we have watched over the years, uh, either in singles, men's or women's. You never want to leave doubles out.
Absolutely.
Like we said in an earlier episode, sometimes I feel like we don't get enough coverage on doubles, but we really should, because doubles is a lot of fun and we can learn a lot.
Yep.
And generally, we want to see, what's the future of tennis, in sense of who are we eagerly looking forward to watching, especially for the kids
Yeah.
who do we idolize and all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So those are the fun things we want to talk about in this episode. And I'm going to ask the first question to Tarun. Tarun, tell me, who have you grown up watching? Who are your favorite tennis players? Just name like one or two, and what do you love about them?
Sure. Thanks, Soham, for that excellent segue into the episode. So yeah. So to answer your question, so growing up, I grew up in India where tennis coverage was fairly limited. Like I'm 41, so growing up in the 90s and
You're
early
not
2000s.
supposed to be revealing your age. Hold on.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's funny. So the coverage was more, so I was more of a Sampras fan. Although, although had Sampras and Agassi happened now, 20 years later when I'm in the United States, I would have probably been more of an Agassi fan. But Sampras, we just go by the winning record and what's shown on TV, and he was dominant. So I was a big Sampras fan. I loved I loved what he did with his serve. So his serve as this was deadly. His game was centered around his serve, and to finish the point in the 2-3 shots after the serve. But his serve would set up his first shot, so that was amazing. He was actually, and now that I know more nuances about the game, what I found was Sampras has a great serve, but an okay volley. His volleying was not that great compared to others like Edberg and Pat Rafter. These guys were my favorite on the men's circuit. Like they're just amazing. The net coverage by Pat Rafter and Edberg's net game was just fascinating to watch.
Absolutely. But
Yeah,
don't you think that like Pete was super clutch with his serves? Like he always used to serve like aces or like a first serve winner on like
yeah,
those clutch big points.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I don't believe in the clutch and choke theory, but he would serve clutch because he was a great server. That's what I believe. So clutch just happened to be some of those big points, add points or break points that he had to save. So so yes, I mean he was amazing. And on the women's side, I love Steffi Graf. It's surprising that many people that her, looking at some of the old videos on YouTube, and which I felt that she did not have a serious driving backhand. She would slice her backhand a lot, and she
Right.
got so much out of it. So,
Right.
so yeah, it was yeah. So growing up, these were my favorites, and of course, after that, I liked Agassi, uh, Federer, of course, the big three, and my in the previous like 10-year era, I think my favorite player is Stan Wawrinka. So it's just
Wow.
yeah, he had
And
big highs and very low lows. So which I identify with because I'm like a go big go home kind of a player. So I love that kind of a game. So
um, before I talk about who I liked, who I idolized, I want to ask you a couple of questions.
mm,
So you mentioned what struck me was you mentioned Pete,
yep,
you mentioned Federer, and you mentioned Stan.
yep,
Now, Stan the man had
yep,
one. He still, I think, has the best one single-handed backhand, and it's so lethal. Like
yep,
I love watching that actually. Even though I'm a double-handed backhand player, like it's so amazing. Like, and
yep.
he's played some unbelievable matches.
Unbelievable. Yeah. His
Um,
peak, those peak 2-3 years he was amazing.
we can probably do a whole episode on Federer, so
Yep,
we'll try to keep it short because he's just such an ambassador for the game. we,
yep,
we I think a lot of people the thing about Federer is, so I'm a big Rafa fan.
yep,
Even I appreciate what Federer has brought to the game,
yep,
and I think he was a major proponent of changing the game and bringing a lot of the youth,
yeah.
like attracting
Absolutely.
them to the game of tennis.
Yes.
So we'll come back to that. What I was
Yeah.
going to ask you was, what do you like about, like, let's just take Stan Wawrinka.
Yeah.
What did you like about his game? Why are you a fan of him? And is there any specific match that you really really enjoyed watching, whether he won or lost?
Uh, I think the thing about Stan that I loved is his the backhand is you know that his backhand was good because he was a beast, a physical beast, incredibly strong legs and core, and he could really you could see the complete take back that he had on us, and opening off the shoulders with that one-handed backhand, perfect technique, and more complemented by footwork that we could all the one-handed players could learn from. Like he would move so early, set himself up diagonally to the ball like, at a 45-degree angle and just unload. And on the tactical side, what he would, the thing that I loved is he would set up, everybody loves like the down the line backhand that he finishes with. But
Yeah.
the hard work happened like 3-4 shots before that, where he would like keep hitting the ball heavy cross court. He'd pull the opponent like literally off the court, into the alley, or at least expecting the ball to come cross. And then when he got a slightly shorter ball, he would go line. I mean, that was fascinating to watch. I think he did that amazing versus against Djokovic, in the some of the matches like 2003, 2013, sorry, Australian Open round of 16, which he lost, the 2014 semifinal, and my favorite, the Roland Garros 2015 against.
Oh, that there was a moment in that match where a
Yeah,
crowd gave like a standing ovation, or there's some
yeah,
Mexican wave happening.
yeah,
You get the chills watching that. Like
yeah,
I replay that match.
yeah,
So why do I watch it is because even though I'm not a I'm not a Novak fan, but somehow I there was something about Stan
yeah,
when he played those finals,
yeah,
those big matches. especially against Novak, he would show up.
Yeah. It's
And I
fearless
like
tennis.
that,
Yeah. Yeah. Fearless tennis. Yeah.
fearless tennis.
Yeah.
So great. I would have quoted the same match,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Hey,
That's
speaking
a
of Roland
special.
Garros,
Yeah.
I want to mention a couple of things. Uh, uh, One of the best he has played, and actually, it's like a mirror image. There is a 2013 or 14, I believe, Roland Garros versus Richard Gasquet. That was a fantastic match. Like both of these guys are going at it like backhands, forehands. I think I will link that match on highlights on the show notes.
We should.
Incredible to
We
watch.
should. Yeah,
They were
we
hitting
should.
incredible winners, both of them. Very high
Um,
intense.
so so I'll quickly talk about like my favorites
Yeah.
or any specific matches that I remember.
Hey,
Because
before that, Soham, before
yeah,
that,
yeah,
speaking
yeah.
of Roland Garros, are you going to Roland Garros this year?
Well, now
That's a
that
story. You guys got to listen to that
now,
story.
now that the secret is out, yes, I will be going to Roland Garros. I'm still figuring out the ticket situation,
Hmm.
but I'll be in Paris actually
Yeah.
later this month, and yes, I am very very keen and very looking forward to going to the Roland Garros. Hopefully, watching my idol Rafa play
Rafa.
before he retires.
Yep.
But coming back
Yeah.
to which of the players I
Yeah.
enjoy watching, idolize or whatever. So I've been watching tennis from a very, very young age. And for me, ever since I started watching, like Andre was my big fan. Like I had posters of him. He was such a charismatic personality. Uh, the exuberance and
Yeah.
just that personality, I think, was very attractive as a tennis player. And I loved watching him. And from the time that he won his first slam, then he kind of had a low phase in his
Yeah.
life, and then he rose in 1999. I think he won the French against
Yes.
Medvedev,
Andre Medvedev. Yeah.
Andre Medvedev, and then the surge came. Right,
Yeah.
man, that was it's very good to see that cycle
Yeah.
where somebody has a high, then goes down, then comes back. That's fascinating. And
Yes.
I love Andre. I follow him even on Instagram. I'm also a Steffi Graf fan. I just love her classic grass court
Yeah.
type of tennis, but she was great on all surfaces.
Yeah.
Exactly the same with Andre, one on all surfaces, very versatile as a player,
Yeah.
very smart. He kind of uses the entire court. What is that, wiper or something that they call it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of he's just taking out of the court
Yeah.
and just then hitting on the open space.
Yep.
Great strategy. Loved his return of serve.
Yeah.
One thing I would say to close on Andre is it's very frustrating watching him play on Pete Sampras, because I think Pete had the edge over him most of the time, and Andre just brought out the best in Pete. And one of the
Yeah.
best matches I watched
Hmm.
was I think it might have been the 2000 or 2001 U.S. Open quarterfinals when it was a four-set match, night match
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
on not Rod Laver. I'm saying it should Arthur Ashe Stadium at for U.S. Open, where I think it was like 6-7, 7-6, 7-6, 7-6.
Yeah.
One of the most
tiebreakers.
unbelievable
Yeah.
matches, and that's one of the reasons I also enjoy playing at night. I wear my I come out with my black outfit. Like I feel very energized to play
Yeah.
some of those kind of matches.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a
Yeah. Hey, speaking of
was
Andre,
fun.
his autobiography, The Open, I
Open,
think
yeah.
one of the greatest sport autobiographies ever written.
Unbelievable.
Highly
I actually
recommend
gifted
people
that.
read that
I
book.
actually gifted that to my cousin too,
Yeah.
and he was very happy about it.
Yeah.
So for after Andre, there was a period of like I know Fed kind of started there, and then I watched Nadal, and I love Nadal, man. Like I can go on and on about Rafa. I love his humility. I love his humble nature. A lot of the things I like about him are actually like off court. Like I think the way he conducts himself
Yeah.
on and off court is something that's very, very attractive. I like to see that in a lot of sports people, right?
Yeah.
Sports personalities. And of course, I love his game. I mean, I can go again. We can go on an entire episode. We might do
Yes.
that actually.
Yeah. For Rafa, yeah.
I think we should do an entire episode about the three like Fed, Novak,
Yep.
and Nadal. I think that's like a half an hour episode which we can do. But anyway, I think I can go on about Rafa. I love watching him play. I love his tenacity. I love a lot of aspects of his game, and I'm actually very and I just love his never say die attitude.
Yep.
He never gives up. That fighting spirit is something that I try to model in my
Yep.
game.
Yes.
It's for fitness, that motivation to never
Yep.
give up. There has been an instance where I was actually injured. I was leading 4-1 in a match and I got really injured. I was already playing with an injury, but I kind of was pushing myself, be like, hey, let's give it a shot. And then I re-injured my wrist.
Oh man.
And
Yeah.
it was just like I was helpless on court. And I kept thinking, like, if what would Rafa do in this situation?
Yeah.
And he doesn't retire. So I actually use that as a motivation, and I played the match and I lost the next like 11 games, but I still just stood there and
Yeah.
fighting whatever I could do. So Rafa gives me a lot of inspiration, and that is something that I also
Yeah.
tell my students,
Yes.
including his famous about
Sorry, Soham, to cut you off, but I know
yeah.
Soham's students are extremely tenacious. He really does a good job of conveying that's the spirit. I mean, the way Rafa plays to his students. I mean, I've seen this myself. Yeah. Your
I
students.
feel like one of the advice I always give them, as I often see on social media, is about how he respects the racket. I don't think I've ever seen him throw a racket.
Yep.
And that's something that I know it's very easy to take your anger on court out on the racket,
Yep.
right? Instead of yourself, or So I always use Rafa Nadal as an exemplary sports personality who respects the racket. It's
Yep.
it's never the racket's fault. If you're making mistakes, it's actually probably your fault.
Yeah.
So fix that first before you start blaming other things, right?
Yep.
So Rafa, and speaking about now, I feel like tennis has shifted, like we spoke about in the
Yep.
previous episode about evolution of tennis. And I think right now, like, I enjoy watching Yannick Sinner, and I spoke about him in the Indian Wells episode number 2
Yeah.
earlier. How I actually watched him up close. I saw how he drills. I love generally like his form, his balance, his stroke, the power he generates, the unit turn, the rotation, all of that. And of course I like Carlos Alcaraz. So I think these two are going to be the dominating forces in the coming years.
Yes.
In terms of the matches, there are many. There is undoubtedly was it the 2008 Wimbledon final?
Oh yes. Yep.
That's obviously I watched every single I try to watch every single Nadal match as every single one, and certainly I don't think I've ever missed his Grand Slam final matches. So
Yep.
I mean, all of them are special, but definitely 2008 Wimbledon final, we can probably provide a link to it.
Yes.
I think a lot of people should watch it, tennis
Yeah.
fans. Obviously, 2017 Australian Open, I really loved it. Obviously, Federer fans will love it more, but that was just two GOAT tennis players just battling it out.
Yep.
Like, there should not have been a winner that day. I wish. This is the bad thing about sports. There is always a winner.
Yep.
That was a one classic example where
Yeah.
I feel they could have both shared the trophy. Both deserved it, but sad reality is in sports there's only one winner.
Yeah.
That's one I liked. More recent, obviously any of his French Open finals. When
Yeah.
one he killed Djokovic in, I think, the COVID year.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
blew him off the court.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
But Novak came back and won next year, right? In 2021, I think.
I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That was an amazing match. I
that
mean,
when Novak deserved that.
yeah.
And then definitely something that there are two matches. Actually, there are two matches, both against Daniel Medvedev in the recent past.
Yeah.
One was one was the US Open. I think that was 2017. 2017, or could have been 2019. I think it might have
2019. Yeah. 2019.
2019,
Yeah.
2019 US Open final. That was phenomenal. That
Yeah.
match against Daniel Medvedev,
Yeah.
he won in 5 sets. And of course, the 2023, was it
Yes.
2023 Australian Open, or was it 2022?
Yeah. The 2020, I think it was 2022.
22, could have
Yeah.
been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2022 Australian Open final, where statistically he had a very small percentage to win. He was 2 sets down and he was like a couple of breaks down or something like that, and it was like love 40. Every time I go play a match in terms of league or tournament, I make sure I watch highlights of this match because this gives me tremendous amount of confidence and motivation going into a match. Like every single time. That's one of the drills that I do is I watch clips of certain matches before going into before my matches. It
Yeah.
just it gives me a high, it gives me that motivation. So yeah, those are the things, those
Yeah.
are some of the matches. Um yeah, I mean, again, we can go on and on.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can
So,
leave it to another
yeah,
episode.
for sure. Yeah. On this, I want to mention two players which I love, whom I love following in the recently. One is Iga Swiatek on the women's side. So I actually saw her in Indian Wells last year. Uh,
Right.
she is so solid. I mean, like her footwork is amazing. She's super active on her feet. Her backhand is amazing. She flattens out her stroke very well. The best part is she barely makes an error. I think I saw one of her match against an American girl. I think Kathy Liu. I think she won the first set bagel. So I was actually counting with my kids, like my 10-year-old son and my 8-year-old
Right.
daughter. We were actually scoring that match to see how every point was ending, whether it's going to be an error or not. Believe it or not, she made her first unforced error when she was 6-0, 5-1 up in the second.
Unbelievable. Are you
Yes,
serious?
yes. And it's like she is amazing. She keeps the ball in play. She will like
She's very disciplined, and every
very
time I see,
disciplined.
you know what's funny? Like as you, if I'm tracking like Grand Slam results during the
Yes.
Grand Slam, like invariably, like
Yeah.
every match she bagels someone.
Yeah. Yes.
Like there's so many 6-0 sets that I've seen.
Yes. Yes.
I don't always get to see her matches,
Yeah.
but every time I see the score, at least,
Yeah.
she's battling at least one of the sets as a bagel or
Yeah.
like 6-1 or something like
Yes.
that.
It's like flawless tennis. Like she will keep the ball in play, and then at the same time,
Yeah,
she rushes people with her active footwork, doesn't miss. Like
yeah.
she's like, watching her is like a lesson in tennis. So
I think she would be a really good coach because or a
yeah.
hitting partner. Like she's very disciplined, and yeah,
Yes.
I do enjoy.
Yeah.
I also I liked Naomi Osaka a lot. I
Yes.
think I liked her because I still do. Even though that she took a break from tennis, she's trying to come back. I like her personality. I feel like she's very real and and down to earth.
Yeah.
So that again is very attractive. Like I think I like those kind of people
Nice.
a lot. And
All right. Let me ask you one question. Okay, I'm going to
yes,
put you on the spot.
yeah.
Why? So I know. So Soham is a known. I wouldn't call him a hater, but I would call him not liker of the GOAT in tennis, Novak Djokovic. So
Oh
I
boy.
think. So personally, I believe if there is something that symbolizes with tennis hackery, you see, there's tennis, there is fitness, there is technology, there's brain game.
Yeah.
Everything coming together, the perfect person made in the lab is Novak. Why do you not like him?
You know, I know we had this offline discussion, and
Yes.
I was like
Yeah, let's go on
saying
the
to him,
record. Yeah.
I was like, no man, I don't personal biases okay, so
Yeah.
try look, jokes aside,
Yeah.
I think he embodies a lot of what we are
Yeah.
trying to achieve. I
Yes.
do agree with that, right?
Yeah.
I think my reasoning here was we don't want to like have a face from the current tour,
Yeah, of course.
tennis tour,
Yes. Mhm.
because I feel that would be unfair to a lot of players. I feel like everybody to
Yeah.
some degree is trying to they have a mix of all these things.
Yes. Yes.
No one's perfect, but maybe Rod Laver is that guy. Like
Yeah.
I didn't watch him play the Rocket, right?
Yep.
Like
Rocketron. Yeah.
maybe he's the right one, or maybe like Arthur Ashe. I don't know, right? There's so many other unbelievable players. I think we should like have a mixture of faces. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
10%
Yes.
Federer, 10% Novak, 10% Fedal, 5% Murray,
Yeah.
5% Stan. Like
Yeah.
it should be a combination. So,
Yes.
but yes, I mean there are certain
Yeah.
few people who definitely are a league above the rest.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to ask a quick question to you because we kind of missed this. Uh, we often focus on singles tennis
Yes.
and we don't get enough coverage of doubles tennis.
Yeah.
I want to take a few minutes before we close our
Yes.
episode for the day to talk about doubles because at a recreational level we tend to play a lot of dubs.
Yes.
Can you talk about um, who have you watched in doubles, like whether it's on television or
Yeah.
in real in person, and some any exciting matches that you can remember or recollect.
Yeah. I remember watching Jack Sock, uh, Jamie Murray. These are very contrasting players, like in doubles to watch, because
Right.
Jamie Murray and his brother, he's very old school in doubles, like amazing touch. He gets the ball early, flattens it out, keeps it low. Jack Sock, on the other hand, is the epitome of modern doubles. Like he will blast the ball from the baseline. He will run across like a hare. I mean, Jack Sock is what like modern doubles is all about. Like, I mean, I do believe that doubles as a sport is also changing in
Right.
the past 10 to 15 years, where instead of being more touch and net oriented, there's a lot of power coming from the baseline. Players are happy to go in the back and bash baseline shots.
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I've seen both play, Jack Sock and Jamie Murray play at Indian Wells. um,
Yeah.
I mean, what stood out to me was the contrasting styles. That's where I realized that, yeah, it's interesting that doubles can be played this way too. What Jack Sock brought to the game. He's
So
one of the best.
yes, Jack Sock. I actually watched I also at Indian Wells. I watched the Bryan brothers take on
Yes.
Jack Sock and John Isner, and I
Oh.
think the Bryan brothers lost that match,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
crazy, right? Like they were
Yes.
number one for so long and they were dominating the circuit. Um, I want to. There's a specific pair that
Hmm.
I really really enjoy watching,
Hmm.
and it's a little controversial, but I so. I think a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year again, I don't know the exact date. Um, Nick Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokonakis
Ah, yes.
won the Australian Open
Aussie
double.
Open. Yes. Yes.
I think that is, and I'll be honest about this. I don't watch as much doubles, partially because it doesn't get much coverage.
Yes.
But that is the one time
Hmm.
that I actually watched most of the matches of their matches
Hmm.
because I like Nick Kyrgios quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's just box office entertainment, super
Yeah.
talented. Yeah, if he just could have his head right,
Yep.
probably would have had like 10, 12 Grand Slams by now. But those those two
Yeah.
guys
Hmm.
uh, made doubles super
Yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah.
And I love that. And you know what? They were playing from the back a
Yes.
lot,
Yeah.
which means they're not like typical doubles players,
Yes.
but they had the skill set to overcome their shortcoming. To
Yes.
me, that and they made it fun.
Yes. That is
I mean,
amazing.
that is amazing, and I would
Yeah.
love to see more of them, more of like maybe say Alcaraz and Sinner maybe playing doubles.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I wish Agassi played more, or Federer and
Yes.
Nadal. I mean, Federer's final match was the exhibition with Rafa,
Yes. Yes.
and
It
I
is.
actually watched that. And some of these singles players should play together
Yes, they
in
should. They should.
doubles. I
In
think it will
fact,
be
I
a lot of
believe this is a trend. I was listening to one of the I think on Meherban's tennis files. Louis Kaye. He is an amazing doubles coach and a professional coach for Great Britain players. Britain is producing a lot of top doubles players. And this guy is a top coach there. So what he was saying is the doubles. There are certain trends in the doubles game where the doubles pairs, both on the ATP WTA side, one person is a single specialist and one person is a double specialist, apparently. So
oh
this
wow.
trend is happening in which, like Michael Venus and Ryan Harrison. I mean, I think a decade back they won a slam. Michael
Yeah.
Venus is a double specialist from New Zealand. Ryan Harrison, of course, American.
Yep.
And a lot of these things are, it's a very interesting trend in doubles. I think it's definitely, I think it deserves a lot of attention from tennis fans.
I mean, even at college, I know that some people who are not getting to be in the top 3 or 4 singles lines in college, they get put into doubles, for example,
Yes.
right? So I think all these pro players know how to play doubles. They're
Yes.
just not used to playing doubles.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm sure they would be super successful as, you know, but of course I understand like their
Yeah.
schedule, they're like, they're focused on excelling at say singles,
Yes.
and they don't want to jeopardize their performance in one over by doing the other, right?
Yeah.
Or trying to do both,
Yeah.
which might not be, and plus they're trying to manage their body as well,
Yes.
and their and their schedule.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, doubles is great for me. Like, I just want to make one quick last comment. I actually was fortunate enough while growing up to play for 5 minutes with Leander Paes,
Ooh.
India. That was a very, big privilege for me.
Yes.
And, Leander Paes and
Your hometown, right? Leander Pace?
yes, from
Yes.
Calcutta.
Yes.
Leander Paes and Mahesh Bhupati, both Indian representation, um, were number one, and they won many Grand Slams together. It was sad to see them go because I feel like Indians, they could have they could have done a lot better.
Yeah.
Had they stuck together for a longer period of time, and they could have dominated for a longer period of time. But last thing is shout out to Rohan Bopanna for being world number one in doubles as of now.
Yes.
From India, and I think he might be about 43 years old.
Yes.
That's an inspiration to a lot of us to keep playing, to keep believing in yourself. And if they can do it, maybe it inspires some of us to continue to get improve even when we are past 40 years old.
Yep. Well, on that note, I think we should bring this episode to a close. Yes, and yes, so as a part of closing, I think we should do the closing ceremony, I guess. Yeah, please like.
And guess who's going to be doing that? Not me, because Tarun is the expert in this area. So
Yes.
Tarun, I'll let you have the final words.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed a pleasure, man. So again, please like, subscribe, share, and comment at all our social media platform handles. It's at Tennishackery with a Y. So you can find us on Instagram, X, Meta, YouTube, Spotify. Website will soon be launched. And like we said, once we hit 500 subscriber mark, we'll get on TikTok and do the TikTok dance with a racket and ball. And let's see. On that note, thanks everyone. See you next time.
Yep. See you next time.